Hey guys, Jordan Belfort here, the Wolf of Wall Street, and it's time for Whiteboard Wednesday. And the topic for today is an inner game strategy. It's really a philosophy or really some insight into how people go out and achieve success in the world, and also how you close a sale. It's really interesting because I was looking through some footage today because I'm shooting the new product, the straight line system. I'm updating the product, making it interactive. So I was going through all this footage I've done, and I noticed a common thread in two different aspects of my training. One, when I'm talking about overall success, how success happens, and how does it really work? How does someone become successful? And then also, how does someone go from saying, let me think about it, to, yeah, let's do it? Or someone who's like totally hostile in the beginning or really not that interested in your product, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, they're like, yeah, and they're signing on the bottom line, they totally love it, right? And the concept I want to relay to you here is something that I call the waterline. And you know by now I'm the worst fucking artist in the world, so don't expect any miracles here as I draw this, but watch. This is the waterline. So what I'm doing, this is the water right here. Imagine that's the Pacific Ocean, right? And when we talk about the waterline, what we mean is that everything that's below the waterline is invisible to us. We can't see it. It's hidden from sight. And then everything that's above the waterline is in plain sight. It's visible. It's the visible in plain sight. We can see it, feel it, touch it, right? So things that are below the waterline are invisible. And when we break through the surface, it becomes visible, right? Well, let me first talk about overall success. The metaphor that we typically use to talk about working really hard and not getting the result, and working really hard, not getting the result, and working really hard, not getting the result, and then someone leaves and says, fuck it, they walk away, and the next guy comes along and picks up where that guy left off and just does one more thing and boom, that becomes successful, right? The metaphor we usually use for that is about digging the hole. About the guy who's digging for gold, and he digs down a foot, no gold, digs down another foot, digs down, he keeps digging down, digs down, right? Goes 90 feet, doesn't strike gold and says, fuck it, there's no gold here, and he drops his shovel, he climbs out of the hole, says, screw it, I'm done with this. A week later, some guy walks by and says, what's this hole? And he walks down, says, goes down the ladder, he sees a shovel, picks it up, he digs one more foot, and boom, he strikes a fucking gold mine and gets rich. Right? So that's the old metaphor that we use about, don't give up, you're one shovel of dirt away from success, right? But the problem is that it's a cliche at this point, but also doesn't really give a good visual about what's happening. So let me give you a different take on that, which I call the waterline. The waterline means that, let's say you are starting a business or you're launching a new division, and you start off and you're working really hard but not getting the result, and working really hard not getting the result. Well, what that means is you're working really hard, but it's not that you're not getting a result. In fact, you are getting results, but they're not visible yet. In other words, what typically happens in business is that you work really hard, you make progress, but that progress isn't visible to you yet. It's still below the waterline. And you keep working, and you keep working, you keep working, you take 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 back, right? And you keep getting closer and closer to that brass ring. But you're not seeing the fruits of your labor yet. They're invisible to you. And then finally, that last piece of the puzzle comes into play, and boom, you go above the waterline, and everything starts to actually become visible. As you see the fruits of your labor, and bam, you break through the waterline, you become massively successful. That's how success works. So it's as you're putting the pieces, the elements of success, you're lining them up, you might not be seeing outward progress. Your progress is not visible yet. It's below the waterline. But then when that last piece of the puzzle falls into place, boom, you start making massive money, and the old thing's, oh yeah, it's an overnight success. Bullshit. It's not an overnight success. She's not an overnight success. It's just that all the hard work, all the progress that was being made was below the waterline. When you finally break through, it becomes visible. Yeah, overnight. It's like, yeah, I got rich quick after 2 years of really hard work. And that's why I always say there's only one way to get rich in this world. and that's quick. But I'm not talking about a get-rich-quick scheme. What I'm saying is that you work really hard, you don't get the result, you work really hard, don't get the result, work really hard, don't get the results, because you're making progress, it's just not below the waterline yet. There's one piece missing. Maybe you don't have the right lead source identified. Maybe your closing rate is too low. You have a great product, great marketing campaign, but you can't convert yet. There's one element, or maybe you're actually making sales, but your manufacturing cost is too high. You haven't figured out how to bring down the cost. Maybe there's something else going on, you're not having all the pieces. So because of that, success is invisible. But you've made, from when you started and launched your business, you've made massive progress. It's just below the waterline. Then you put that last piece in, boom, you go through the surface and you're massively successful. So that's an important thing to remember, is that don't be demoralized because things are not visible yet. You're still making massive progress. If you've been following these trainings, and also, I do my weekly interactive trainings on Saturday mornings. You should have subscribed to these things a long time, because every Saturday morning for 1 hour, and by the way, these are not free webinars, which is a fucking joke, by the way, because they're not free. They waste your time. These are paid trainings. I charge a couple of bucks for the training, literally $3 for the training, okay? And I go through an intensive topic here, and I give you all the elements that you need to essentially make the invisible become visible. Doesn't happen overnight, but step by step, by learning strategies of the straight line and other business strategies I teach, eventually, you will break through the surface, the invisible becomes visible, and you get rich. That's what I mean by getting rich quick. Success is below the waterline. Now let's take this now directly to sales. It's the same thing that happens when you're starting off and someone watch. Let's say this is a straight line here. Okay, I'll show you the equivalent. I'll draw the straight line for you really quick, without wasting any here. Okay, watch. So this is your straight line. This is your open. That's your close, right? Open, close. You have your boundaries here, right? And as you move someone down the straight line, you're building more and more certainty for the 310s until his or her prospect's certainty, their level of certainty, exceeds their action threshold. And if you've been watching Whiteboard Wednesday and you subscribe to my weekly interactive trainings, you know exactly what that means. It's a very simple procedure, very logical thesis about why people eventually say yes after they first say, let me think about it, let me call you back, right? So what happens is when you start off, someone is way below the waterline. And then as you make them more and more certain, they start to climb up and get more certain. They're still not saying yes yet because they're below the waterline. And then finally, when you have enough certainty, when the level of certainty has exceeded their action threshold, which is that, by definition, the collective level of certainty someone needs to be at before they feel comfortable enough to say yes, right? At that point, and this is elementary for people that understand the system, right? At that point, bam, they break through the waterline and they buy. What the waterline represents and why it's so important, it's the reason why you stick with something and you don't bail because you're not getting the result you want. You're not supposed to get the result you want right away. It's very rare that that happens. Business is about testing, changing your approach, testing, changing your approach, one thing at a time until the invisible becomes visible. And the distinction, the key thing to remember is even though you're not getting the result, you're still making progress. You were at minus 100 feet. You might be at minus 10 feet, just about to break through the waterline, in the same way you're at the 90-yard marker, just 5 feet from the goal, and then it's that last piece of the puzzle, and bam, you break through. Now, again, this whole concept of the waterline, everything else, it breaks down and doesn't work in the absence of not having the right strategies. You must have the right strategies. Okay, so it's important. That's why when I do my trainings, so these are short trainings to put ideas in your mind for each week to make sure that you stay focused, but every Saturday morning, I do an intensive training and I make sure I impart a strategy on you that really is going to show you how to go about making that progress. Now, what I'm not saying, though, is that if I give you a strategy, you implement it, and you get massive results that day. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. It's a series of strategies on top of strategies, building blocks. And with each one, remember, you invest in yourself. That's why I always laugh. Like people say, oh, it's not free. No, it's not fucking free. You know what? It's an investment of $3 to get trained. I could charge $300. I charge a lot more than that when I do it in person. This is in the privacy of your own home. We're even have video back and forth, okay? So the point is that you must have the right strategies that you're implementing, or else you'll never break through the surface. You're wasting your time. Then you might as well drop the fucking shovel and walk away, because you're never going to get to the gold. So it's not just about hard work, and it's not just about strategy. It's about hard work, the right strategies, and an understanding of what it really takes, of how it really happens, so that even when you're not getting the result that you want, you still feel good about things. I'm telling you, I never get dejected, or I never get down on myself when my business is not going as well as I'd like. The only time I get down on myself is when I feel like I don't know what I need to know. There's some strategy, I just don't know it, and I will quickly learn it. If something I don't know, I will learn it or hire someone who knows it. I will not waste my time in trying to dig or swim through the surface and not know how to swim. So in that sense, look at it like I'm giving you swimming lessons each week. Okay, so it's the best investment you can make in yourself. Grow yourself. And if it's not me, then just choose someone else. But don't do the same thing again and again. That's that definition of insanity. The same result, you're expecting a different result, and you're not learning, changing, and growing. You've got to grow yourself, and the money follows. This concept of the waterline gives you the emotional fortitude to know that even if you haven't gotten the result you want, it's right around the corner, so long as you're learning and growing yourself on a consistent basis. That's the bottom line. So again, we have our intensive weekly training coming up on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, I'm going to be announcing what topic it is. Doesn't matter, every week it's an amazing topic. I'll announce it tomorrow. And for those of you who have not subscribed yet, do it. It's a free trial. So it doesn't even cost you any money for the first one. I'm happy to give you one for free, the first one for free, and then it's a couple of bucks for the a few bucks, and that's it. Okay, each week it's a joke. It's the best value you can ever get. So subscribe, and there's a link here, and subscribe and test it out, and believe me, you'll be glad you did. Sound good? Love you all. Take care.